At my stepsister's birthday party, my name tag said problem child apostrophe ... but then. It's your stepsister's 27th birthday. Another lavish, over-the-top celebration orchestrated by your stepmother, Veronica. You wouldn't be here, except for a lingering sense of familial obligation, a faint hope that maybe, just maybe, things could be different this time. That hope dies the moment you see your name tag. It doesn't simply say Emily. That would be too normal, too, un-Veronica. No, this name tag, written in elegant, almost mocking calligraphy, proclaims, Emily, the problem child. And there she is. Veronica, your stepmother, materializes beside you as if summoned by the sheer audacity of the label. She's holding a flute of champagne, a perfectly manicured hand resting lightly on your arm. Her smile is tight, a practiced expression that doesn't quite reach your eyes. Well, Emily, she purrs, her voice a sugary venom that only you seem to notice. Some things never change, do they? Perhaps you could learn a thing or two from your stepsister, Madison. She knows how to be a proper young lady. Madison. The golden child. The flawless, always appropriate, perpetually smiling Madison. Ever since your father, George, married Veronica 10 years ago, you were 17, Madison 16, your life had become an unspoken competition. A competition you were never meant to win. Madison was everything Veronica admired, blonde, conventionally pretty, and utterly compliant. You, on the other hand, you were a constant disappointment. Your passion for graphic design, your independent spirit, your refusal to conform to Veronica's narrow definition of womanhood, all of it was met with thinly veiled disapproval. The party is a perfect reflection of Madison's, and by extension, Veronica's, world. It's at a trendy rooftop bar, the city lights twinkling below like a carefully arranged stage set. The guests are a collection of well-dressed, air-kissing socialites, none of whom you know, or particularly want to know. You feel, as always, like an observer, an outsider looking in on a life you were never meant to be a part of. You remember the early days, after the wedding. You'd tried, genuinely tried, to be a part of this new, blended family. You'd offered to help Madison with her homework, even though she was only a year younger. You'd attempted to engage Veronica in conversations, asking about her charity work, her gardening, anything to find some common ground. You'd even tried to rekindle your relationship with your father, hoping that he, at least, would see you, the real you. But your efforts were met with a cool politeness, a subtle distancing that spoke volumes. Madison treated you with a condescending sweetness, always managing to subtly undermine you. A compliment that was actually an insult, a helpful suggestion that was actually a criticism. Veronica was more direct. She'd criticize your clothes, your hair, your career choices, always with that same, infuriatingly sweet smile. Your father, once your confidant, your biggest supporter, seemed to have undergone a personality transplant. He'd always encouraged your artistic talents, your independent streak. But after marrying Veronica, he'd become passive. He'd defer to her on everything, seemingly content to let her mold him, and you, into her vision of the perfect family. There was that one Christmas, when you were 18. You'd spent weeks crafting a personalized, hand-drawn portrait of your father, capturing his kind eyes, his warm smile. You were so proud of it. You'd poured your heart and soul into it. Madison, on the other hand, had given him a generic, expensive watch. Veronica had gushed over it, praising Madison's impeccable taste. Your father had thanked Madison profusely, barely glancing at your portrait before setting it aside. You'd excused yourself, fighting back tears, and spent the rest of the evening in your room. Only Aunt Susan, your father's younger sister, seemed to understand. She'd found you in your room, wrapped you in a hug, and told you, "Don't let them dim your light, Emily. You're special. You're talented. Don't ever forget that." Aunt Susan. She was your lifeline. She'd always been there for you, a constant source of support and encouragement. She'd fiercely opposed your father's marriage to Veronica, seeing through her manipulative facade from the start. "She's a social climber, George," she'd warned him. "She's not interested in you, or Emily. She's interested in your money and your status." But your father, blinded by infatuation, hadn't listened. And so, you'd lost him, piece by piece, to Veronica's carefully constructed world. A world where you didn't belong. A world where you were, and would always be, the problem child. You take a deep breath, the scent of expensive perfume and forced merriment filling your lungs. The injustice of it all, the years of subtle put-downs, the blatant favoritism, the constant feeling of inadequacy, rises up in you, a bitter tide. But tonight, something is different. Tonight, you're not going to silently endure it. You meet Veronica's gaze, a spark of defiance igniting in your eyes. You raise your glass, a small, almost imperceptible smile touching your lips. "I'd like to make a toast," you announce, your voice clear and steady, cutting through the polite chatter of the party. The room slowly quiets. Heads turn. Even Madison, momentarily distracted from her circle of admirers, looks at you with a flicker of surprise. Your father, across the room, stiffens, a flicker of unease crossing his features. "To the last time you'll ever see me," you say, the words hanging in the air, a deliberate, calculated act of rebellion. The silence that follows is deafening. Veronica's carefully constructed smile falters, then crumbles, your father's face drains of color. Madison's eyes widen, a mixture of shock and something else. Satisfaction? Without another word, you turn and walk away. You walk past the stunned guests, past the opulent decorations, past the shattered remains of Veronica's perfect family portrait. You walk out the door, into the cool night air, and into your own life. The city stretches before you, a tapestry of lights and shadows. You feel a surge of exhilaration, of freedom, mixed with a profound sense of loss. You've cut the cord. You've severed the ties that bound you to a family that never truly accepted you. Your phone buzzes in your pocket. You ignore it. You know who it is. You know what they want. But you're not going to answer. Not tonight. The next day, however, is a relentless onslaught of calls and messages. Your phone rings constantly, the caller ID displaying Veronica again and again. You let it go to voicemail, but the messages pile up, each one more hysterical than the last. "Emily, you pick up the phone right now." Veronica's voice screeches through the speaker. "This is unacceptable. You've ruined Madison's birthday. You've embarrassed your father. You owe us an apology." Then come the text messages, a barrage of guilt trips and accusations. "How could you do this to us? Your father is heartbroken. Madison is devastated. You're being selfish and ungrateful. We've always loved you, Emily. Why are you doing this?" Later, a text arrives from Madison. It's surprisingly restrained. "Emily, I really don't understand. Why are you so angry? I thought we were friends. Did I do something wrong? Please tell me." You stare at the message, a complex mix of emotions swirling within you. Anger, resentment, a flicker of pity, and no. You shut it down. You won't let them manipulate you. Not anymore. You spend the next few days avoiding all contact. You immerse yourself in your work, finding solace in the creative process. You confide in your closest friend, Liam, a colleague from work who has become your rock. Liam listens patiently as you recount the events of the party, the years of subtle cruelty, the final, liberating act of defiance. He doesn't offer empty platitudes, doesn't try to minimize your pain. He just listens, his presence a comforting anchor in the storm. "You did the right thing, Emily," he says, his hand covering yours. "You deserve so much better. You deserve to be happy." His words are a balm to your wounded soul. You know he's right. You know you've made the right decision, but it still hurts. It hurts to cut ties with people who are supposed to be family, even if they've never truly acted like it. A week later, a registered letter arrives. It's from your father's lawyer. Your stomach clenches. You know what this is about. The letter states, in cold, legal language, that your father is demanding repayment of all the money he contributed to your college education. He claims that since you've chosen to abandon the family, you are no longer entitled to his generosity. The sheer audacity of it, the vindictiveness, takes your breath away. This isn't about the money. It's about control. It's about punishment. It's about trying to force you back into their toxic orbit. You immediately call your own lawyer, a sharp, fiercely intelligent woman named Sarah Chen. She listens calmly as you explain the situation, her expression growing increasingly grim. "This is outrageous, Emily," Sarah says, her voice tight with anger. "He has absolutely no legal grounds to demand repayment. This is a blatant attempt to intimidate you. We'll fight this. We'll fight this tooth and nail." Sarah drafts a scathing response to your father's lawyer, making it clear that you won't be bullied or coerced. She also files a countersuit, alleging emotional distress and defamation of character, citing years of mistreatment and the malicious problem child label. "He's picked the wrong fight, Emily," Sarah assures you. "He's underestimated you. He's underestimated us." Knowing you have a strong advocate on your side gives you a measure of comfort, but the emotional toll is immense. You feel betrayed, hurt, and profoundly disappointed by your father's actions. You decide to reach out to Aunt Susan. You call her, and her voice, warm and familiar, is a soothing balm. You tell her everything, pouring out your heart, your anger, your sadness. Oh, Emily, Susan says, her voice filled with compassion. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. George has become a stranger to me. Veronica has poisoned him, turned him against you. I've tried, believe me, I've tried to talk to him, but he won't listen. Susan reveals that she'd always suspected Veronica's motives. She'd seen the way she'd manipulated George, the way she'd isolated him from his family and friends. She'd even tried to warn him, before the wedding, but he'd refused to believe her. He's blinded by her, Emily, Susan says, her voice heavy with sadness. He's lost his way.
And I don't know if he'll ever find it again.
Susan offers her unwavering support. She offers to testify on your behalf, to share her observations of Veronica's behavior, of your father's transformation. She offers financial assistance, if needed. You're not alone, Emily, she says, her voice firm. You have me. You have your friends. And you have your own strength. You'll get through this. I know you will. Her words are a lifeline. You realize that family isn't always defined by blood. It's defined by love, by loyalty, by unwavering support. And you have that, in abundance, from Aunt Susan, from Liam, from your friends. The legal battle is long and arduous. There are depositions, interrogatories, endless exchanges of documents. You have to relive painful memories, confront your father and stepmother in sterile conference rooms, answer intrusive questions from their lawyers. There's one particularly grueling deposition where Veronica's lawyer, a slick, condescending man named Mr. Davis, tries to paint you as an ungrateful, rebellious child, deliberately trying to sabotage your father's happiness. Isn't it true, Ms. Carter, he says, his voice dripping with sarcasm, that you've always resented your stepmother? That you've always been jealous of your stepsister's advantages? You clench your fists, fighting back the urge to lash out. You look at Sarah, who gives you a subtle nod of encouragement. No, Mr. Davis, you say, your voice calm and controlled. That's not true. I've always wanted a healthy relationship with my stepmother and stepsister. But they made it clear, from the very beginning, that I wasn't welcome. I was treated as an outsider, a problem to be managed, not a member of the family. You recount specific incidents, the subtle put-downs, the blatant favoritism, the constant undermining of your confidence. You describe the Christmas gift incident, the birthday party name tag, the years of feeling invisible and unloved. Mr. Davis tries to interrupt, to discredit you, but Sarah objects forcefully, defending your right to tell your story. You refuse to be silenced. You refuse to be intimidated. Finally, after hours of questioning, the deposition ends. You feel drained, exhausted, but also vindicated. You've spoken your truth. You've stood up for yourself. The legal proceedings drag on for months. There are moments of doubt, moments of despair, moments when you want to give up. But you keep going, fueled by a sense of righteous anger, by the unwavering support of Sarah and Liam, and by the memory of Aunt Susan's words, don't let them dim your light. One evening, Liam takes you out to dinner, a quiet Italian restaurant with soft lighting and even softer music. He senses your exhaustion, your discouragement. Hey, he says, reaching across the table to take your hand. You're doing great. You're so strong. I'm incredibly proud of you. His words, simple and sincere, bring tears to your eyes. You squeeze his hand, grateful for his presence in your life. I don't know what I'd do without you, you say, your voice thick with emotion. He smiles. You'd be fine. You're a fighter. But, I'm glad I'm here. As the months pass, the pressure from your father's side intensifies. They offer a small settlement, a pittance compared to what you're seeking. Sarah advises you to reject it. They're testing you, Emily, she says. They think you'll cave. They think you'll be intimidated by the prospect of a trial. You refuse to cave. You're prepared to go all the way. Then, a breakthrough. Sarah discovers evidence that Veronica had been systematically diverting funds from your father's business accounts, using the money to finance Madison's extravagant lifestyle and to pay for her own lavish expenses. This is a game changer. It exposes Veronica's true nature, her greed, her manipulation. It also weakens your father's position significantly. Armed with this new evidence, Sarah confronts your father's lawyer. She presents them with a choice: settle the case on your terms, or face the prospect of a public trial that will expose Veronica's financial misdeeds and ruin your father's reputation. They hesitate. They stall. But eventually, they fold. The settlement is substantial. It includes a full repayment of your college expenses, a significant sum for emotional distress, and a public apology from your father and stepmother. It's not everything you wanted. It's not a complete restoration of the relationship you once had with your father. But it's a victory. It's a validation of your truth. The apology, when it comes, is stilted and insincere. It's a carefully worded statement, crafted by lawyers, designed to minimize their culpability. But it doesn't matter. You don't need their apology. You don't need their approval. You've found your own peace, your own happiness, your own sense of self-worth. One day there is a knock on the door. You open the door, it's your father. He is alone. "Emily, can I come in?" You reluctantly let him in. "I want to apologize, I am so sorry, for everything." You could see the sadness, the pain in his eyes. The dad you once knew and loved was there, somewhere. "It took me too long. But I see it now. All of it. I am so sorry, for not protecting you." He looks broken. "I have left Veronica. It's over." You and your father talk for hours. There are tears, there is anger. But there is also understanding. Slowly, very slowly, the healing begins. You may never fully trust him. But the door is no longer closed. A few weeks after, you get a message. "Emily, it's Madison. I know I have no right to ask. But can we talk?" "Madison?" You don't reply immediately. The thought of facing Madison is overwhelming. But something makes you say yes. You meet in a neutral cafe, you are ready. Madison looks different, she looks smaller, and you notice her clothes, no designer labels. Madison doesn't know where to start. "I am so sorry, Emily, I was so awful. So selfish. It's no excuse. But I was so used to getting everything." She looks down, ashamed. "Mom, she always. It was always about her, and I just went along with it. I am so sorry, for everything." You listen. You see the genuine sorrow. The regret. Could this be real? Could Madison actually have changed? "I have started therapy, I have got a job, I am trying to be better." She looks up at you, desperate for forgiveness. "I know I don't deserve it, but I hope. One day." You don't know what the future holds. There is a lot of hurt, a lot of damage. But maybe, just maybe, there is a chance for a new beginning. A new kind of relationship. You're no longer Emily, the problem child. You're just Emily. And that's more than enough. You are successful. You have a good life, good friends, a loving partner. You have rebuilt your relationship with your father, and there may be hope for one with Madison. You are stronger than ever, and at peace.